pounding, passionately quaking, quickening. Hi beautiful people, and welcome to Poetryspective number 53. Yay! Brought to you here from Sketsdom, live under the fig gig tree, and still sponsored by Pride of our Footscray Community Bar. We have a very exciting night for you tonight. It is an open mic mini feature extravaganza featuring wonderful poets such as Claire Gaskin, Sean O'Callaghan, Sasha Chua, and many, many more. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Ismene loves. To love is to truly have survived. She has her head bowed and her palms are open, but she is standing on a serpent that wraps the world. She has subdued it. I know why you drink. I drank a bottle of scotch a day after I was raped, and my boyfriend left me. You drink to celebrate life, but you get drunk to annihilate it. I'm standing on my serpent. My head is bowed and my palms are open. It writhes beneath my feet. I pray to her who has subdued, to step into her, with my head bowed and my palms open. I know why you drink. My ex-husband quoted, "First you take a drink, then the drink takes you." Now he says, I'm not going to drink any more, and I'm not going to drink any less. The irony is that's the humour I love for him. I know there is and has been the wars. I know what you drink for. My wars go on behind closed doors, against women and children in the halls and kitchens of honoured institutions, behind closed lids where the serpent rears its head and wraps around my dreams, where the memories mercurial, mother of mercy.
When you have stolen my skin from my entity, and remove the roar from my life, O hunter, wield that skinning knife with some grace, a little skill. I too have hunted and killed many, many, many times, but every kill was a prayer in praise of the Creator. My movements were always quick, clean, merciful. Such is the way of true believers. But do you now, hunter, slice, slash, and cut clean? I pray only that you leave no part of me behind, to be eaten by the jackal and the hyena. For I have ruled this forest on behalf of the Creator Himself, and there is no honor in a king becoming carrion. So take the sacred color from my coat, send it back to the maker of sunsets. Take the darkness of my stripe and return it to the shadow and the undergrowth, for that is where it was obtained. Take the white from the fur of my belly and send it back to a new ice age, that it return to avenge me. Send my roar back to my maker, that he fill the heavens with my rage at this shabby end, for a true king ordained by God Himself. Send my claws to the young of the rich and the highborn, to save them from their own nightmares. Send my teeth to Tibet, that their aspirations for freedom find new teeth. Send my bones to China, that they find a cure for the fear that builds such great walls. Send my fat to Singapore, that they learn to make a balm that is mine, not merely a name. Send my shit to the alchemists, for that is the only substance they have not yet tried in their efforts to invent gold. But hang on to my eyes, you puny murderer, that your tribe might know that you did not fell a creature beneath you, that I looked you in the eye and did not flinch when you shot me. Instead, I am turned away, released from the cancer of your footprint.
I use flame to heat the blood in my veins, trace the moon with the spin of sticks. Fire song slicing, I dance the night in, flashpoint spiral in curves and arcs, splintered sparks against the wind. No adversary, weaving intricacies, flaming calligraphy, flitting like a firefly in space-domed skies. In space-domed skies, flitting like a firefly, flaming calligraphy, weaving intricacies, no adversary to the wind. Splintered sparks in curves and arcs, flashpoint spiral. I dance the night in, fire song slicing with the spin of sticks. Trace the moon in my veins to heat the blood. I
1958. Vanguards, Discoveries, Atlases, they all blew up on the launch pad. The Americans had some rocket issues. Is that a rocket in your pocket, or are you a giant? If rockets were fish, space would be their water. If birds had rockets, scorched wings. Our rockets only ever launch dinky little satellites. Rockets are romantic. The history of spaceflight is punctuated by exploding rockets, popping rockets, falling rockets, immovable rockets. Rocket streaming blue plasma arcs into space. Rocket thrust pressures act on combustion chamber and nozzle. Thrust, gravity, drag, lift, the four forces governing rockets. The classic rocket shape, long and thin with aerodynamic nose cone.
Paul Odyssey, and she urged him on with winning words. Telemachus, you'll lack neither courage nor sense from this day on. Not if your father's spirit courses through your veins. Now there was a man, I'd say, in words and action both. So how can your journey end in shipwreck or defeat? Only if you're not his stock, Penelope's tool, then I'd fear your hopes might come to grief. Few sons are the equals of their fathers. Most fall short, all too few surpass them. But you, brave and adept from this day on, Odysseus' cunning has hardly given out in you. There's every hope that you will reach your goal. Put them out of your mind, you suitors, schemes and plots. They're madmen. Not a shred of decency or sense in the crowd. Nor can they glimpse the death and black tomb hovering like a Death Star. Just at their heads to crush them all in one short day. But you, the journey that stores you now is not far off. Not with the likes of me, your father's friend and yours, to rig you a swift ship and be your shipmate too. Now home you go and mix with the suitors there. But get your rations ready. Pack them all in vessels, the wine in jars and barley meal. The marrow of men's bones, in durable skins, while I make the rounds in town and quickly enlist your crew of volunteers. Lots of ships in sea-girt Ithaca, old and new. I'll look them over, choose the best in sight. We'll fit her out and launch her into the sea at once.
And so, Athena, daughter of Zeus, assured him. No lingering now. He heard the goddess's voice, but back he went to his house with aching heart, and there at the palace found the brazen suitors, skinning goats in the courtyard, singeing pigs for roasting. Antinous, smiling warmly, sauntered up to the prince, grasped his hand and coaxed him, savoring his name. Telemachus, my high and mighty, fierce young friend. No more nursing those violent words and actions now. Come, eat and drink with us, just like the old days. Whatever you want, our people will provide. A ship and a picked crew to speed you to holy Pylos, out for the news about your noble father.
Sausage rolls, a simpler time. There was a time in secondary college doing A-levels where I spent at least 3 to 4 hours out of the 6 hours a day passing time in politics, philosophy and English, where I was either craving a sausage roll or going to the canteen to get a sausage roll, or I was in the canteen eating a sausage roll. Chaucer, Anthony Giddens, John Stuart Mill, my arse. I'd be thinking about sausage rolls in the library or even in the gym between classes. I'd be thinking about sausage rolls bench pressing, squatting, chins, lat pull down, bicep, triceps. It was an old gym, falling apart, full of bouncers, training back, trap and shoulders twice a week, chest and arms in between on Wednesday. And the next week, chest and arms twice a week, and back traps and shoulders on a Wednesday. Legs, the odd Thursday. But not many people cared about legs there. They had chicken legs and big backs, bouncers with chicken legs and giant chests. It was a simpler time. And I'd be thinking about sausage rolls all the time. I didn't tell the boys in the gym they'd have given me dogs, because in them gyms there was a lot of slag, and I wouldn't want to let on my obsession for sausage rolls, even on the step machine, rower. I'd be thinking about sausage rolls, and it was best those men didn't know what was on my mind. And I would have red sauce and coleslaw on the sausage rolls. An unconventional Epicurean ensemble that the lovely dinner ladies, I called them, because in primary and secondary school they were dinner ladies, even though these lovely women wearing blue sort of rubber hats so as their hair didn't fall on the sausage rolls never made any dinner, because dinner was after school, and dinner was the only time I would be thinking about other foods like chips. But during the day it was sausage rolls, a simpler time, and them women in blue hats were always laughing and saying I loved sausage rolls, and they gave me the sausage rolls, and I laughed because I didn't know if it was love or obsession, but it was a simpler time.
Sunshine love songs. At 7:27 every morning, the kid next door plays basketball. The sound is a continuous thud, thud, thud. I have imagined many ways to stop this noise, but I'm no longer a man of violence. Not being happy is often the least of my worries. Sometimes there's no tea bags or toilet roll. If I had to say a percentage, it would be around 60% of the mandarin orange peels I throw from the bed go in the bin. We've been together for 6 months, and for 3.5 of those 6 months, we've been infecting each other with different strains of colds and flus. It's been good for us, and next month she's moving in. People who are sick say other people are sicker still. Some say eat a big bag of oranges and go to bed, disinfect bench tops, wipe the tables, clean hands after toilet. One person even advised an exorcism. Present experience says do not drink and do drugs to excess. It really doesn't help with recovery. If everyone was 23% smarter, I wonder would it help? Having a fight with her happens with no words. What is not said is like when that old fella in Jaws screeches his nails down the blackboard. I never knew that nails on a blackboard sounded so bad until I saw it in Jaws. Jaws 3 in 3D was a real flaccid penis at the wrong time kind of experience. She got me a bag of hard lollies for Valentine's, and they're only finished there now, 23rd of March. What a great present. Looking forward to maturing into fisherman French, licorice, all sort barley sugar lifestyle. Anyone else thinking apple tart lolly was a marble sometimes? Top tips for kids getting bullied. Buy a quarter of decent hard lollies, strawberry sherbet, apple tart, cola cube, pear drops, and hand them to the bully before bullying. You will distract them so you can make your escape. If life is getting you down, time moving slowly, grab yourself a bag of good hard lollies and suck them one at a time. Each lolly a surefire way of spending 5 minutes thinking nothing, only hard lolly. He died with a hard lolly in his throat. He died with a falafel in his hand too. The good, the bad, the hard lollies. Indiana Jones and the hard lolly. Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, hard lollies. A word says 1,000 pictures. A Jewish person who had lost their identity put a fatwa on my head. I was in the office eating Tums, and she swanned across the room like toilet paper stuck in someone's ass. She put her leg where her ear should be and said, "What do you think?" I said, "Think of what?" My threads. It was a bright yellow, budgie woolen onesie. I said, not much, you think you need something? She said, give me a whiskey. No, leave the bottle. I said, you must like John Wayne, and turned myself into a dog walking out on the blind man's lead. The street was soft bubble wrap, and I began popping it in ecstasy. The sun set, and you could see the moon in the bubble river. Looking at stars, I floated away.
The magic's either there or it's not. You can't force it. The magic's either there or it's not. And God knows you can't force it. The magic's either there or it's not. I'm thinking about a magic time and a magic place. When the dew's forming on the grass, it's forming on the windscreens of the cars. And you can hear it now. You can hear your mum saying, just be home before the streetlights go on. Be home before the streetlights go on. It's a magic time and a magic place. Because the magic's either there or it's not. You can't force it. The magic's either there or it's not. God knows you can't force it. Just be home before the streetlights go on. So dash home through those long summer twilights. Dash home with grass stains on our knees and the oily smell of the ocean not far away filling your noses. Dash home through those roast-filled kitchens, the barbecue backyards, the Sullivan's on TV lounge rooms, the Onkaparinga bedrooms, and the Dennis Lilly driveways. Just be home before the streetlights go on. Because the magic's either there or it's not. You can't force it. The magic's either there or it's not. And no, you can't force it. So end that game of continuous tips. Light the last welcome spring, fire the final ball shooter, wrap up the slip and slide, pull the stumps from the ground, pick up the sloppy joes marking the try line, put your surfboard on your head and turn from the beach, because the day is over. The icing pole's eaten, the sunny boys sucked, Galaga switched off, and the piggies are flashing, game over. Game over. Because the magic's either there or it's not, and you can't force it. You just have to be home before the streetlights go on. So straggle down those streets, run through the fences, up the boulevards, look for the flicker of the light, watch it shoot on the telegraph poles, and time it. Make sure you know the time of its arrival outside your mum's window. Exactly. Ah, the dew forming on the grass. Use the sound of Mr. Whippy Van coming around the corner. Just be home before the streetlights go on. Just be home before the streetlights go on. Just be home before the streetlights go on. Looking into old photographs, I imagine the feeling of those particular snapshot days, and the temperatures, and the sounds, and the smell of the honeysuckle. We'd rip the top off, and we'd lick. I searched for myself in those crowds of silent noises, the faces of people who were then friends, expressing their essential sound and essence through frozen smiles, and the angle of their eyes. The angle of their eyes. Some people are just naturally at the centre of every photograph they're in. All faces and bodies and light are always beaming their way. Then there's others, off to the left or to the right, or just seemingly tacked onto that group embrace like an afterthought. Like an afterthought. And you remember them, and you remember them for that fact. They tried hard, and while it was never quite enough, it was also just a bit too much. Well, that was before the accident, or just after he started going out with her, or on the ski trip that time at the Jindabyne Hotel, near the fireplace. He got ugly with a girl from the North Shore named Bridget. You must watch those girls from the North Shore, named Bridget, bring you undone every time. Or that time at the Weddings Parties Anything concert, Serena's at the Coogee Bay Hotel. You crowd surfed all the way to the bar, came back with 2 Jim Beam Cokes, crowd surfing still. You didn't spill a drop, didn't spill a drop, didn't spill a drop. That time we went to Townsville, all the rivers were dry, all the way, but we found a waterhole back there somewhere. We went swimming, feeling guilty, and we sang, all the rivers run dry, hunters and collectors. When we returned to the scene of the crime, committed no crime, we were only 19 years old, nothing much mattered. The Victor Harbour and Margaret River, the photos we took, Nirvana, the first big day out, 1992, the Horden Pavilion. You held a camera above the crowd, you held a camera above the crowd. Glengarry Point, someone packed over my 6.2 Dahlberg in their 4-wheel drive, squashed the thing flat. That was the end of it. That was the end of it. There's another time that I remember. I'm about 8. His eyes are shining, aware and howling like the dog Anthony I'm patting. My East jersey, red, white and blue against the wild grass. These pictures tell us how far we've come and how far we have gone. You had long hair, your face was screwed in laughter. Your eyes were unsuspecting. They were huge and desirous. They wanted a lot. They desired the whole thing. Everything was unfurling from there on. They wanted it all. The thing I've realised is that, unlike in photographs and in thoughts, everybody's eyes are always much smaller in real life. Everybody's eyes are always much smaller in real life. Everybody's eyes are always much smaller in real life.
Alrighty, so this is my pre-record for Poetryspective. Shout out to everybody who's watching. I've got no idea right now because, as I said, it's all on pre-record. But we're going to do our best to bring the vibe and the spirit of live performance. So I'm going to start with an old one and pretending that we're actually here live with a poet and an audience together. So, since the dawning of time, human beings have gathered in circles around a fire, around a watering hole, around a dinner party table, or in places like this, whatever this is, to tell stories, share knowledge, teach the next generations the ancient histories and secret mysteries stored in the collective consciousness of the human race, in the sagas and the songs and the words and the rhymes, in the original articulations of the human heart, the human mind that we call poetry. Because poetry is prophecy, and prophecy is poetry. Up on a stage or up here on the video camera, people connect, or the speaker connects to an ancient tradition. Yes, even here in the digital age, we connect to an ancient tradition. We each become links in the chain of transmission that stretches across all cultures and all times. And you, the audience, connect, even through the digital mediums, to an ancient tradition. You each become links in the chains of transmission that stretch across all cultures and all times, because poetry is prophecy, and prophecy is poetry. For a poem is not simply in the mind of a poet, or even written in the words on a page, but only here up on a stage, in the act of speaking out loud, sharing our songs and our sounds, creating connection between speaker and crowd, or our words transformed by magical alchemies, the energies that snap and crack between you and me. The poetry emerges in that space between the mouth of the speakers and the ears of the listeners, in that space between the heart of the speaker and the heart of the listener, the words and the reactions together like writer and reader and DJ and dancer, congregation and preacher, listener and speaker together. Even in the chat windows, we generate the act of the art between us, because it's all about sharing our words. It's all about sharing our words. It's all about sharing our words. Alrighty. So we're gonna keep pretending that this is some sort of a live performance. So we live in a universe of infinite complexity, and we're connected together in a web of interconnectivity of life and ecology and culture and history. And we're all a part of this beautiful immensity. Each and every one of us unique and individual and simultaneously a part of a much greater whole, because we are 7.5 billion pinpricks of light. And when we all shine together, we can brighten up the night. Alrighty, so just gonna check the time. Oh wow, it's already been 4 minutes. So what I really want to do now, just fix the, yeah. What I really want to do now is a story from a book that I'm putting together that's still in the editorializing process, called The Secrets of the Sages. So a lot of people who've seen me out on the scene have seen that I do storytelling from my own culture and tradition, from the ancient Jewish mystical masters of the Talmud. And so the book I'm putting out, The Secrets of the Sages, is a bunch of short stories from the Talmud that I've been telling out on the scene in Melbourne and elsewhere, to sort of connect back to my culture and to share some of that culture with all my friends and everybody else, and also to extract some of the wisdom that's in those cultural memories, because the Jewish people have been through, well, a lot of shit, a lot of really intense shit, and so over the millennia, a lot of lessons have been learnt, and there are a lot of lessons that are relevant. So I'm gonna do a story that's actually not from the Talmud. It's the last story of my book, and it's about a person called the Holy Lion. Now, the Holy Lion was a Kabbalist, and a Kabbalist is like a mystic, someone who delves into the inner nether regions of the human consciousness and reality to try and extract the meaning that's embedded inside. And this Kabbalist, the Holy Lion, he is one of the great Kabbalists of the Jewish tradition. And his vision and his story is, for me anyway, a piece of hope for what we're kind of going through now. So the story goes like this. Remember the Shabbat. Remember the Shabbat to keep it holy. The Shabbat is the most central and essential law in the entirety of the Bible. It's most basic. Put most simply, the Shabbat is the seventh day of a 7-day week. Its most basic practice is not to work. For 6 days you shall work and run thy economy, but on the 7th day, a Shabbat. For 6 days we work, we toil, we slave, the economy powers away. The banking system holds us in chains with no true rest and no holiday. The system, for 6 days, drives us and grinds us, confines us and binds us, but on the 7th day, a Shabbat. The word Shabbat has no precise translation in the English language. The closest approximation is something like a stop work, a labor strike, a worker's day off. to Shabbat is to actively not work, to consciously desist from participating in all economical activities. For 6 days you shall work and run thy economies, but on the 7th day, a Shabbat, a stop work, a labor strike, a universal day off demanded and commanded by the Creator of the universe. For 6 days, the economy rules over us. For 6 days, debts hang above us, rents and mortgages, power bills and gas bills, but for 1 day in 7, nothing can touch us. Boss cannot force employee to labor. Master cannot force slave to work. No monies can be transacted, no debts can be collected, no economical activity whatsoever can be enacted for 1 day in 7. The merciless torture of the economic system is temporarily halted. For 1 day in 7, we celebrate a single day of freedom. Now, I think the story is actually too long. So, I think on that note, we're just going to go out with a poem that is another one that I do all the time. So, the ancient mystical masters taught that our world is made out of words. 26 alphabetical energies, phonic vibrations that generate all of reality, combinating and permutating into all the words and phrases and idioms and languages. Like a fish swimming through the waters, we walk absorbed in a world of words. From the words we first heard from our families and communities, to the words that we daily read in the books and the papers and the magazines, to the words that we see, hear and watch on TV and the internets and the social streams, we live in a matrix of words. Language is an information field generated by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the culture together. And so if the world is made out of words, and the mind perceives the world through words, then you, human beings who speak words and write words and type words and text words, are not simply creating words, but you are creating worlds. Because poetry is prophecy, and prophecy is poetry. The circle might be ancient, but the words that we speak are brand fresh and new. This circle, it's been here for thousands of years, but the words that we speak are brand fresh and new because each generation reaches back into that mystical matrix of meaning, pulls back the same feeling, but wrapped up in new words, expressed out in new words. Here in the ancient circle, we speak new words and we create new worlds. So that is that's a wrap.
Hi, I'm Anne. My poetry tonight is from The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. It's a book I first received when I was 8 years old, and I loved it then and even memorized parts of some of the poems back then. The first one is The Night Song. Now chill the kite brings home the night, that Mang the bat sets free. The herds are shut in byre and hut, for loose till dawn are we. This is the hour of pride and power, talon, tush and claw. Oh, hear the call. Good hunting all that keep the jungle law. Thank you. This poem from the Jungle Book is called The Road Song of the Banderlog. The Banderlog are the monkey people. Here we go in a flung festoon, halfway up to the jealous moon. Don't you envy our pranceful bands? Don't you wish you had extra hands? Wouldn't you like it if your tails were so, curled in the shape of a cupid's bow? Now you're angry, but never mind. Brother, thy tail hangs down behind. Here we sit in a branchy row, thinking of beautiful things we know, dreaming of deeds we mean to do, all complete in a minute or two, something noble and grand and good, won by merely wishing we could. Now we're going to, never mind, brother, thy tail hangs down behind. All the talk we have ever heard, uttered by bat or beast or bird, hide or fin, or scale or feather, jabber it quickly and all together. Excellent, wonderful, once again. Now we are talking just like men. Let's pretend we are, never mind. Brother, thy tail hangs down behind. This is the way of the monkey kind. Then join our leaping lines that scumfish through the pines, that rocket by where light and high the wild grape swings. By the rubbish in our wake and the noble noise we make, be sure, we're going to do some splendid things. In the Jungle Books, as Mowgli leaves the jungle to return to the village of man, his animal mentors each sing him their song. This song is the song of Kaa, the python. Anger is the egg of fear, only lidless eyes are clear. Cobra poison, none may leach, even so with cobra speech. Open talk shall call to thee strength, whose mate is courtesy. Send no lunge beyond thy length. Lend no rotten bough thy strength. Gauge thy gape with buck or goat, lest thine eye should choke thy throat. After gorging, wouldst thou sleep? Look, thy den is hid and deep, lest a wrong by thee forgot draw thy killer to thy spot. East and west and north and south, wash thy hide and close thy mouth. Pit and rift and blue pool rim, middle jungle, follow him. Wood and water, wind and tree, jungle favor go with thee. This is the song that Bagheera the panther sings to Mowgli as Mowgli leaves the jungle for the last time to return to the village of men. In the cage my life began, well I know the worth of man. By the broken lock that freed, man-cub, where the man-cubs breed. Scenting dew or starlight pale, choose no tangled tree-cat trail. Pack or council, hunt or den, cry no truce with jackal men. Feed them silence when they say, come with us an easy way. Feed them silence when they seek help of thine to hurt the weak. Make no banders boast of skill, hold thy peace above thy kill. Let nor call, nor song, nor sign turn thee from thy hunting line. Morning mist or twilight clear, serve him, warden of the deer. Wood and water, wind and tree, jungle favor go with thee. Thank you.
Oh, hi. Flipper and I were just enjoying an ISO scon, discussing poetry, and the opportunity's come up to read you a couple. So, Flip's not well today, voice is a little croaky, so I'll do the reading. I've got a book called Hip Hops. It's a poetry book that one of our bartenders bought me because they knew that I liked beer and they knew that I liked poetry. And so for Chris Kringle, they bought me a beer poetry book. Very, very nice. That was Sebastian. The ISO scone that we're actually lunching on here was actually cooked yesterday by Anne Byrne, who was one of your poets today. So stick around for Anne, or I hope you enjoyed her if she was before me. Very, very nice. So I will read two poems from Hip Hops. A man came to me at the fair and said, if you've a poet's tongue, tumble up and chant the air that the stars of morning sung. I'll pay you if you sing it nice. A penny piece, I answered flat. 6pence is the proper price for a ballad such as that. But he stared and wagged his head, growling as he passed along. 6pence? Well, I'll see you dead before I pay that for a song. I saw him buy 3 pints of stout with that 6pence. Dirty lout. And beer is probably sometimes worth more than music. I don't know, it depends on your mood. But that was The Market by James Stevens. And a very quick one here by Anonymous. And it's not me, I'd like to claim it, but it's not me. This is from Anonymous. It is called Prohibition Beer Poem. Mother's in the kitchen, washing out the jugs. Sister's in the pantry, bottling all the suds. Father's in the cellar, mixing up the hops. Johnny's on the front porch, watching for the cops. Good times in Prohibition. Thankfully, that didn't last too long, and now it's even better time. Thanks for being at Poetryspective. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you in a fortnight. Thanks.
Past the sparrow-flight hour of fancy, into the bell epoch of love and death, I will find you. Lost in the moonlight corridors of memory, past the sparrow-flight hour of fancy. Borne heavenward on the wings of ideals, as stardust shutters your image into my iris, past the twilight hour of fancy. So that when eyes are closed, you remain, bejeweled like Venus, forever, in memoriam, in that bell epoch of love and death. In the hour of roses, in the arms of stars, and on the moss touch of our lips, brushing, as stardust does, in the night's caress, in that sparrow flight hour of fancy.
You are smoke, my love, an arabesque of desire that floats and waltzes in the briar and oak. I am trapped by the way you lie in that foreign floral halo. Your lips embroider the night, bringing color to skin, names to gods when they land, like promises or moths upon me. The well of your skull, the space between drab and divinity, where serpents lie and twist, singing secrets to the silent witness hiding amongst the bones and rain. She wears the fishnet of our limbs and lets us trail for jewels across the mouth of the river. You are smoke, my love, and I become the ember and the trout.
Dog's real thoughts about social distancing measures? I will lick your face.
More than the footy. More than perfect, strong lattes. I miss hugging, mate. After we finish social distancing, I will miss my grandma's hands. Thank you, Bill Withers. Rest in peace.
Good evening, my friends. I hope you've been keeping well. My name is Waffle Iron Girl. The first poem I'd like to read tonight comes from this book. It's called What Gives Us Our Names by Alvin Pang. The piece I'm going to read is Hope. Hope. Hope was exhausted, worn out, frayed. Over the years, her vision, once the brightest and clearest there was, had become clouded with fatigue and worry over the 1,000 little chores needed to take care of her many clients daily. She was called on all the time for every reason imaginable: to watch over the smallest of promises, to end an unnecessary silence, or to give a child with things he did not truly require. She answered so many requests that people started to notice only when she failed to show, or even when she was merely late for a much anticipated appointment. She received many complaints and dropouts. The past few years, fraught with war and pestilence and tragedy, had not been good for her. The workload had mounted, but her resources had dwindled also. Even among her hard-working staff, there were those who faltered. The pattern was clear enough. Beginning among those most fervent of her crew, they burnt out with waiting. Resignation soon followed, and they were quickly lost to her rivals. Most of the time, she tried her best to do what she could, even for those deeply skeptical of her abilities. Her most innovative solutions also tended to be her quietest and most subtle. And as a result, she found it difficult to raise support for her causes despite her success, unlike her competitors' anger and delight, who have never been more powerful. And then she came across the case of two sisters who wanted nothing else than simply to be apart, who longed as hard as true lovers yearn to be joined, to hold each other at arm's length, to look into each other's faces and laugh. They had travelled a long way to see her, with a certainty possessed by too few of those who'd come along, asking for her favours. When Hope told them how little she could do under the circumstances, expect them to turn away in dismay and leave, she was surprised to find them smiling at her. Their trembling hands locked to hers in the shape of a plea. With eyes made keen again by tears, she set them free of each other, let them bid their farewells, and walk at last apart on their final and separate journeys across the endless fields. Hope. The second poem I'd like to perform tonight is called Things I've Lost. Now, those among you who have heard it before know that it's best done with audience participation, which is difficult when it's virtual, but I believe in us. So, this poem ends on a single word. If you are able to guess that word before you come to the end, I encourage you to yell it out with spirit and as lustily as possible in these constrained times. Things I've Lost by Waffle Iron Girl. Innocence, that old cliche. 8 bobby pins in the last year before I cut my hair. 12 years of journal entries deleted off a distant server when an internet site went bust. They say Rachel Tuck lost her verve when her body began to be riddled with tumors. I wonder what verve feels like, if I have it, and can I ever know before it's gone? I've lost 3 months' wages and a bankrupt boss. I never liked him anyway. 11 color pencils in a set of a dozen, the remaining color being green, as grass featured rarely in my coloring ins, filled as they are with orange people, yellow sand, blue skies, red petals in the well-worn white clouds etched into bleach paper. All these too have been lost. I've lost 1,800 random dreams, dropped in the space behind the bed, that gap between waking and replacing the cap on the toothpaste. All the photographs from a Japanese vacation, and lost as well the vividness from recollections of elegant pagodas and rosy salmon sashimis, although I haven't yet lost the fat slurp of noodles coated in pork sauce. Also misplaced, a sense of wonder at being alive, and the reluctance to swear, that lost leaving in its place a lusty love for the glorious utilitarian versatility of the word fuck.
This is called Sleep with Surrender. Hanging ambiguous silhouetted gallows. Run maze blind. No signs of slowing. Teeth showing. Eyes, mouth, heart wide open. Slide over sober, blood flowing, blowing out candles to turn on a screen. Swipe, swine, swipe. Shy away from the light of this handheld device. I can't handle the harsh luminescence of your fires. Their presence enhances ominous puppeteers' shadows that dance, climb walls, play tricks with the scent of smoking candle wicks. Prefer to call on turtle darkness, engulf all evanescence, delete, cleanse, reset the senses. Allow deep noir presence essence to envelope me in warm blankets. Meditative silence confirms sentience. I hide from mindfulness in star-spun night. Confide. Let silver moon follow. Take us. Inside. Remake us. In dark matter. The space in between spaces that holds our multiverse together. Let us end this day our daily bread. No forgiveness, no trespass. Excuse me if I eject your tapes, discs and hard drives from my head. Regurgitate shattered glass. Reject misrepresentation. Don't confuse the situation. We are not helpless. We are responsible in every way. Sleep with surrender. Death in my own hands. Defenseless, I lay my guns down, accept the waves. Yes, I've repented. This night, this small death fills me with wonder. With feet still grounded in earth and water, I fly off to a world further. From this, hear the laughter of booming thunder, though no gods above or below, no crowned king looking down from heaven's tower. Forgiveness a splinter in your finger, yet you cry like it's a mortal wound. Argue all you want, file fine-tuned perspectives as I turn from your elective morality. Irrespective of belief systems, religion, his stories. Hard looping lesson, forget what you were taught, second-guess Sunday school confession sessions, blessings. There's nothing to do but embrace the ending. Nature isn't selective, defending your rights, though the Earth's evolving ecosystem has no heart, though you know kindness has no part in any leader's regressive, aggressive, repressive absorption incentive. How do you think us humans have come so far? Maybe I'm just jaded, insensitive. But they don't care, they don't care how, or even whether you live. And I truly love and appreciate what you give. But maybe it's time to be a little bit more inventive. Sticks, stones, rope and fire. Sticks, stones, rope and fire. Excuse the preaching and cynicism, but I'm sick of giving in to a continuous repetition of pessimism. Witnessing perpetual ignorance while idiot adults argue against feminism. Scared ego-driven boys hiding in the skins of men. What are you giving in this game you're living? Breathing and speaking like it's a slam poetry competition. What are you giving? Put your suggestions in the box. Your feedback means a lot to us. While some believe we're improving culture and quality of life, those vultures feed off their guts and peck at our eyes. Rewards card flybys, no thanks. Another barcode scam scanned for the banks. Let's step in front of the drive-through, drive-by, arms outstretched, crucified. Bodies bounce off bumpers, hit the pavement, gone, done, dusted, goodbye. What am I giving? I ask myself, decide. It's not just the core, the ideals, the beliefs, but all of the self, all of your actions. Not just imprints, printouts, dismissive lazy handouts. Don't smugly shrug this off. Because it's not going to pass until I hear you shout from the crowd. Respond or choose to surrender and say goodnight to the world.
Hello everyone, I hope you're holding up okay, and thank you Lish for bringing us all together here. So yeah, this is Max. I'd like to share with you two poems of my own and a poem by a Czechoslovakian poet. So I'll start with Street Poet. Walking down Sydney Road, I saw a young man sitting on a bench seeking the attention of passers-by. He must have been begging. I, his next target, chose to pass by, and he said the word poem. I stopped. A poem for spare change? I said yes. He spoke softly. I heard traffic. I heard music from the record store. I heard a couple argue, but I couldn't hear him. I saw his face. I saw his sincerity, but I couldn't hear him. He stopped, looked at me, awaiting my decision on what he's worth. I gave him $2 and hurried away. I didn't tell him I was running late for a poetry reading. True story. Wish I wasn't, but anyway, here we go. This one's called Fishing for Words. Lolly wrappers, receipts, notebook, sleeve. These I use as a net to catch my fish. Small fish mostly, but I'm after the shoal and must wait for them to swim by. My pen corrals them. I pin them down on whatever I can and wait for more. They become bigger as I exaggerate in their retelling. Okay, they're my two poems. Now, this piece is by a Czechoslovakian poet called Miroslav Holub, who was a scientist, and I really love his work. So this is Miroslav Holub and his poem called Suffering. Ugly creatures, ugly grunting creatures, completely concealed under the point of the needle, behind the curve of the research task graph. Disgusting creatures with foam at the mouth, with bristles on their bottoms, one after the other. They close their pink mouths. They open their pink mouths. They grow pale, flutter their legs as if they were running a very long distance. They close ugly blue eyes. They open ugly blue eyes, and they're dead. But I ask no questions. No one asks any questions. And after their death, we let the ugly creatures run in pieces along the white expanse of the paper electrophore. We let them graze in the greenish-blue pool of the chromatogram, and in pieces we drive them for a dip in alcohol and xylol, and at the immense eye of the ugly animal god watches their every move through the tube of the microscope. And the bits of animals are satisfied like flowers in a flower pot, like kittens at the bottom of a pond, like cells before conception. But I ask no question. No one asks any questions. Naturally, no one asks whether these creatures wouldn't have preferred to live all in one piece, their disgusting life in bogs and canals, whether they wouldn't have preferred to eat one another alive, whether they wouldn't have preferred to make love in between horror and hunger, whether they wouldn't have preferred to use all their eyes and paws to perceive their muddy, stinking little world, incredibly terrified, incredibly happy, in the way of manner which no one can do no more. But I ask no questions. No one asks any questions because it's all quite useless. Experiments succeed, and experiments fail, like everything else in the world in which the truth advances like some splendid silver bulldozer in the trembling darkness. Like everything else in the world, in which I met a lonely girl inside a shop selling bridal veils, in which I met a general covered with oak leaves, in which I met ambulance men who could find no wounded, in which I met a man who had lost his name, in which I met a glorious and famous bronze, incredibly terrified rat, in which I met people who wanted to lay down their lives and people who wanted to lay down their heads in sorrow, in which, come to think of it, I keep meeting my own self at every step. Miroslav Holub. Cheers. Stay well.
I studied psychology and came to the conclusion that Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk was megalomaniacal and had delusions of grandeur. I looked deep into fairy tales and I ended up in a place where only the truth exists. And there I found that Prince Charming was the womanizer and the polygamist with multiple lovers, capturing the interest of both Cinderella and Snow White and who knows how many others. I love how a story can make you sink as the protagonist finds himself in danger. I love the stories we tell when we drink. But sometimes I just love to tell stories. If Pinocchio were to say that my nose would grow now and that were false, then our understanding of the mechanics of how his nose grows would indicate that it would grow. But if you were to say that my nose would grow now and that were indeed true, would it still grow? I did a philosophical analysis of Pinocchio and discovered that the manner in which his nose grows is paradoxical. I went to a place where there is no space and time, and I held discussions with cavemen and ancient Egyptians, and I learned that there is nothing worse than a wasted mind, a broken heart with a broken spark that just won't start.
ayiwa ka ndipenzewe dzako uchenjere kuzoita wachipenex
akaita sei
akazoti pepu azungunutse ndipo paakava nemuono wezviri mberi.
I went to a place where there is no space and time, and I held discussions with cavemen and ancient Egyptians, and I learned that there is nothing worse than a wasted mind, a broken heart, with a broken spark that just won't start. I deconstructed the value of a good story passed from generation to generation as my grandmother told me stories of pain, freedom, joy and segregation that I'll one day pass on to my unborn, born overseas but just as much African son under the African sun as I tell him about how the damage was done.
Well, that brings Poetryspective 53 to its conclusion. Thanks to everybody for dialing in, joining on our YouTube. I hope you all enjoyed it if you watched it live. And if you've watched it later, I hope you've enjoyed it too. This was our second online version of Poetryspective. In these rather bizarre times, we're all cooped up in our houses, as you can see. I'm all nice and cosy in our straw bow house in the country. Been a bit chilly today, so we've got the fire on. Really comfortable, really enjoyed the watching everybody's videos. Big thank you to Lish for organising. As you know, trying to get videos and bookings out of creative people can be like herding cats sometimes. She's done a noble job. I'm afraid you got me giving this little outro. Lish wasn't feeling too well on Sunday evening when I was recording this. She was a bit short on voice, so I agreed to do it for her. But she wanted to extend her thanks to everybody as well. Particularly like to thank all those people who've gone out of their way to actually record fresh material for this broadcast. I know there's a fair bit of recycled footage in here, but particularly some of the new stuff's really great to see, and I'd really encourage you to try and take a bit of time and get something new recorded for the next event, which is in 2 weeks as usual. Okay, in terms of uploading stuff, we've tried to use Dropbox to get the videos for this week. It hasn't been totally successful, so there are a couple of alternatives. If your videos are not too large, you can email them to Lish or to myself, and you'll find the email addresses in the notes below this video. You can also upload your videos to YouTube as unlisted videos and send the link through to us, and then we are able to download the videos from YouTube and use them from there. Okay, thank you for joining. That's it from me. Have a great couple of weeks, and we'll see you at the next event. Bye now.